I am so excited to be having another amazing conversation with a member of our HRUnite and HR community with one of my favorite people and the mascot of the class I teach to help people pass SHRM, CP, SCP exams through Walsh College, the owner of Bella. But today it's not about my girl Bella the cat. Today we're going to be having a chat with Nicole Ensink. Nicole, how is your HR day going?
So far, so good. I'm looking forward to the conversation. Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. So, Nicole, for those that haven't watched HRUnite Convos for Connections, but I know you have, we ask everybody the same two questions. So, unlike others, you're probably a little more prepared, but that's okay. So we're going to ask a couple questions. And the whole point of us asking these questions is we really want to get to know you, or what's the story behind your HR story. So Nicole, tell us that HR story, or tell us your story and what led you to become a steward of people.
Absolutely. So I have this theory or kind of this concept that when high schoolers are getting ready to go to college, they really don't have a clue what's out there, right? So I often say that a lot of times when choosing a major, people end up doing a few different things. They know what a doctor is because they've gone to the doctor. They know what a dentist is because they've gone to the dentist. They know what teachers are. They know mail people. They know firefighters, police officers, things like that. They may know what their mom and dad do, but they don't know much else. So I feel like I really fell into that category because I thought, okay, I want to be a teacher because that's everything that I had seen, right? I loved school. I really had great relationships with teachers and appreciated those throughout all of my schooling. And I thought, all right, that's what I want to do. I want to help people. I really like kids. I enjoy working with children. That's what I want to do. So when I started college, I was pursuing an elementary education major. I had goals to get into special education. That's, what I was thinking. That was my passion. I knew I wanted to help others. And I got into my first teaching class and I thought, I don't like this. I don't want to do this. And that was a little bit challenging because I didn't really know what else to do. While I was in college, I was working at McDonald's as a manager. And at this time, when you were a manager at McDonald's, they offered some sponsorship for school if you were in a business program. So I had a really impactful manager at my site that was always talking to me about school and saying, hey, have you considered business? Have you thought about something in the business field? I had even another supervisor above that kind of oversaw a number of different locations. She would come in, she's always checking on school and what I'm doing. And I said, hey, I'm not enjoying the teaching thing. I'm thinking about switching to business, but I don't know what that means and I don't know what to do with business. And both of them said, you might be a good fit for something like human resources. Now, I didn't really know much about HR at that point. I was like 19, 20, something like that. And luckily, one of my best friends in the world, her mom was an HR professional. And I sat down with her, had a long conversation about why she was in HR, what she does. And I really just got drawn to the ability to help others and to help the business be successful. And I thought, okay, this really could be it. So I switched my major, and honestly, my first HR class that I had, it was like the first or second day, and I thought, yeah, okay, this is it. And it just really sunk in. It just really worked for me, and it was a really good fit. And around that time, I was still working at McDonald's, and there was maybe one experience that came up when I knew I had switched my major. I was working in a different location than I normally did, and I actually separated a verbal and almost physical fight between an employee and a manager at McDonald's. And during that time, I thought, okay, this is a really weird scenario, but this is my chance to kind of level up or step up, if you will, and start to take this into my own hands. And I was able to kind of mediate and resolve that issue. And I thought, okay, I can do this. This is going to be fun. And I feel like that's a lot of my foundation comes from being a manager at McDonald's, working with such a variety of people and just different scenarios, and really just got to partner all of that stuff that I learned with an HR career, and I just love it. It's been a really good fit.
Is amazing on multiple levels because that manager for you kept opening that door. I always say
Yes.
whispers, nudges, kicks, and shoves.
Yep.
And said, hey, have you thought about this? Because oftentimes people see a path for us that we may not see or need to
Yeah.
explore. So I want to first celebrate that manager for
Yes.
helping you. And also, both being a teacher and being in HR are professions that are of service to others.
Yes.
And as the mom of a future educator who had somebody open a door for him to test drive and
Yep.
he figured out that was for him,
Yeah.
um, is there's a lot of transferable skills that apply both in the classroom and in the workplace, and seeing those paths. And I think your story highlights a couple things. First of all, the more we allow individuals that are considering careers, both high school and in college, test drive to see if it's for them before they fully
Yeah.
commit, or are you sure you want to commit to this, the more purposeful path that they will have as they engage in their future career. Um,
Absolutely.
Number two is I want to celebrate. Sometimes people look at hospitality roles, such as in restaurants, in hotels, and all of these things that are not of value, and they are admirable. And there's so many critical skills that you
Yeah.
highlighted that you acquired. Now, I'm going to pause and say, listen, people having disagreements can happen in any workplace. So don't just go
Yeah.
judgmental on our friends at McDonald's saying, yeah, these
Right.
people were having an altercation. I will say my son that's going into education in his collegiate career was somewhere and broke up an altercation between two grown adults in a
Yeah.
bowling alley. So
Yeah.
it's like
It
it can happen
happens
anywhere.
everywhere. Yeah.
It
It's
does.
crazy.
But there are ways that, and I will say one of the things I so appreciate about you, Nicole, and I've known you for a while, and I'm an amazing fan, and you are such a great practitioner, like HR business partner, and the way that you approach things is you help have people see different perspectives to at least create dialogue. And so you applied that gift that you had and that to de-escalate that moment. It doesn't matter if it was at McDonald's or was in a corporate
Yeah.
boardroom near you. That's your gift, which makes you a great steward of people because you have the ability to get people to, I'm going to say, can we talk about it? And get
Yeah.
people in a space where the dialogue can happen. And so celebrating that, and glad you like many of us fell into HR. A little biased here, best profession on the planet, but
Obviously. Of course.
obviously it is. But thank you for sharing that story, and I'm celebrating the experiences you had at McDonald's. And that you've taken and it's shaped your career. And so for those listening, again, what you take with it, the experience you get is what the experience you make. And
Yep.
so thank you for doing that. So if there was one moment that shaped your career outside of that manager, general manager that kept nudging
Yeah.
you, or your experience in de-escalating, so I'm going to say another moment in your HR career or your career that shaped you or had the most impact or influence. Can you share one of those?
Yeah, so something that comes to mind for me is a little bit twofold, and it's a little bit more recent. It's not at the beginning of my career, but maybe just a couple years ago. The company I work for today, Finia, was going through a spinoff, so we were becoming our own publicly traded company. And at that time, I had an excellent opportunity to lead one of those work streams to really separate us from the former parent company. And that was to date the most challenging thing I have ever done in my career. And it was also the most rewarding thing I have ever done. So my responsibility there was essentially ensuring that we could move all of our people across in every location across the globe without any interruption. And that to me just highlighted the need for HR, right? So we needed to make sure that if there were any works councils or unions or any considerations there, that we had the people in place to be negotiating those contracts and all of those things. So I may not have been on the ground negotiating those contracts, but I feel really exceptionally grateful that I got to be behind the scenes and helping to coordinate some of those aspects. It really just drove the point home to me that HR is such a necessary function within the business. And we wanted to ensure that all of our people had a safe landing and that they had comparable benefits, compensation, all of those good things. And to me, that just said, okay, this is what the strategic value is of HR. Right. So that really just kind of drove that point home. And I think what it's helped shape for me is that I have a huge interest in merger and acquisition. I think that that is so fun. And, I've been in the automotive industry for almost 10 years now. And in those 10 years, I have worked for 4 different companies, but I never left a job. So it's all because of merger and acquisition activity that's happened. So this is a constant thing. We would always say, if you can handle change, you can handle this. If you can handle change, you can work here. And that's something that really just highlighted that to me. So that's maybe one example that really shaped me in terms of what I'm interested in and helping my strategic thought just kind of level up, if you will. But another thing in general is just understanding the value of a strong team. So I have been really fortunate to work with some great individuals across my career. And I can think back to a couple years ago when I just consider it like a dream team that we were all working together. We just understood each other so well. I had great counterparts that I still strongly value and appreciate today. And it just built the foundation to get anything done. And that's something that I've really carried with me. And with that most recent spinoff, I had a chance to build my own team for the first time, and it was a super rewarding experience to be able to take all those great things that I learned from others and with working with others and say, okay, here's how we're going to do it for our function. Here's how we're going to do it within our group. So those are some things that really shaped me. I strongly believe that we can't do anything without the help of others, which again just highlights the value of HR. And I super appreciate all of the incredible professionals I've gotten to work with and those that are amongst the team today that I get to work with.
And those are some amazing people because I've met members of your current team and who are so grateful and appreciative of the environment that has been created for them to succeed. So keep shining the spotlight and opening doors for others. And I want to celebrate that. So the last question that we ask is, and maybe because you've talked without giving specifics about some people that have had an impact on your career, but is there anybody you want to give a shout out to that you feel we need to connect with? Like, who do we want to connect with? Who should we know, Nicole?
Yeah.
And that shout out, some HR gratitude.
Absolutely. So the first person that comes to mind for me, you met her in the past, Maria Connolly, is just an extremely amazing influence on my career. Unfortunately, she passed away last year, but she is probably the single most influential person in my career and really in many aspects of my life as well. So she's someone who taught me what it is to have a good team. She's someone that we always considered ourselves the dynamic duo, that we could kind of think on the same page and not even have to communicate. We could just, okay, we know what we're doing. So she's someone who I'm just tremendously grateful for and always will be. But other individuals that come to mind for me, I have a great former colleague named Emma Howard, who is over in the UK. She was our talent director previously, and we worked together very closely. She's someone that would be amazing to connect with. She just has kind of an art for understanding people. She's one of those like recruitment champions. She just knows how to find good people and help to build good teams. Also a couple others, Nancy Savage, who was one of my professors at Oakland University, but actually retired from the company that I started working for. So she's the person that, with networking, helped me get into Delphi when I first started my career. She's an amazing influence on our young HR pros that are going through school and trying to navigate internships. She's another great one to connect with. And then ultimately, I think our team at PHINIA is fantastic. So anyone that you want to connect with from PHINIA would be a great opportunity. I know you already know Claire Campbell. She would be great to connect with. And additionally, our Chief HR Officer, Elisa DiBiase, is just a wonderful HR pro that has a ton of experience in different areas. She could be quite a fun person to connect with as well.
Well, you just named a bunch of people. Maybe we need to have a similar conversation on combos for connection. Love
Yes,
it, love
yes.
it, love it. So you named a bunch of people. I will highlight one or two to give everybody the opportunity to not just connect with Nicole. So there will be a slide after our conversation that's ended with a QR code. So you can go connect with Nicole on LinkedIn, where she is active, but highlighting some of the others. And yes, I did know Maria, and who was an amazing HR pro, and had the pleasure to get to know them and continue to. And I'm just going to say, you continue to make her proud for the legacy,
Thank you.
to continue that legacy in her approach to leadership. So celebrating her each and every day, but also want to celebrate you, Nicole, and your story. And thank you for giving back to impact the future of HR. It's always
Absolutely.
important to continue to open doors. So we look forward to having additional conversations here with others on HRUnite Connect Convos for Connection. Cannot talk today. But Nicole, thank you so much for sharing your story, because the more we connect and share, the better we are all as stewards of people.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.